My stepdad tried to evict me, yelling, 2 days, loser, baby needs your room. So I dropped a twist that shattered his fake alpha act and left him packing his bags for good. Hey, Reddit, throwaway for obvious reasons. So, my stepdad tried to evict me from his house, but my aunt handed me the paperwork that said otherwise. And let's just say watching his alpha male act collapse in real time was worth every second. I'm Connie, 19 female. I work part-time at a grocery store. My life isn't flashy. Classes, shifts, home, repeat. The house is old, 2-story, little squeaky stairs, creaky doors. Used to be my granddad's, then my dad's. After Dad passed when I was 14, Mom kept living here. I never asked about ownership, figured it was hers. 3 years ago, she met him, my stepdad. At first, he acted friendly enough, helped fix the fence, grilled burgers, told dumb dad jokes. But when Mom wasn't around, he changed. Got this little smirk, like he was the man of the house. Comments started small. Maybe try doing the dishes right for once. Or, you call this mowing the lawn? Stuff that wasn't terrible but annoying. Then the digs about my dad started. Whenever Mom wasn't in the room, he'd throw them out there. Your old man didn't take care of things either. Guess being lazy runs in the family. I'd keep my cool, answer with something like, yeah, real original, and leave it at that. Mom used to defend me. But lately, since she got pregnant, she changed, more snappy, repeating his phrases like she was copying his playbook. Around him, she turned into this version of herself that felt not like Mom. The guy walks around like he owns the place, stands in doorways with his arms crossed like a discount movie villain, talks loud about my house, my rules. He's all chest puff mode, but under it, you can tell he's insecure. Tries too hard. Me, I stay calm. Always have. I don't scream back, don't throw stuff. I get sarcastic sometimes, sure, but I'm not here for drama. I just want to finish school, keep my job, save some money, and not get blamed for things I didn't do. But lately, the pressure's been building. He nitpicks everything, the way I eat, the way I talk. If I close my door, he asks what I'm hiding. If I leave it open, he says I'm loud. Can't win. So, last week, after another round of his lazy kid speech, I grabbed my keys and headed to my buddy Oliver's place. Needed some air. Oliver's been my best friend since middle school. If you met him, you'd think he doesn't take anything seriously. He's always got this half smirk like life's a big joke. But the guy's solid, smart, too. The type who roasts you while handing you a drink. When I told him about the stepdad situation, he leaned back on his couch, hands behind his head, and said, "Man, your mom married the dollar store version of a landlord. Does he walk around with a clipboard, too?" I laughed for the first time all week. Feels like it. I told him about the comments on my dad. That part always lands heavy. Oliver shook his head. Guy's got the personality of a wet cardboard box, but thinks he's top dog. Classic. We hung out for a bit, played some old video games. I didn't realize how tense I'd been until I sat there eating chips, listening to Oliver mock stepdad's contractor voice. "Let me guess," Oliver said, grabbing a fake clipboard. "Eviction notice. Reason for removal. Failure to salute the king when entering his castle." I almost spit my drink, but under the jokes, he gave real advice. "Look, keep calm. Don't give him free ammo. Write stuff down. Dates, what he says, all that. People like him love drama. Don't feed it." That's why Oliver's the best. He jokes, but he's sharp. He told me if things got bad, I could crash on his couch for a while. "Seriously," he said, "I can put up with your snoring longer than you can put up with King Alpha." "Appreciate it," I said. "Hope it doesn't come to that." When I got home later, stepdad was in the kitchen like usual, watching me like I stole something. "Have fun?" he said. "Yeah," I answered, grabbed water, headed to my room. He muttered something about kids these days, loud enough to hear. I shut my door, sat on my bed, and thought about how fast things changed. A year ago, Mom was Mom. Stepdad was annoying, but tolerable. Now it's like I'm living with a guy auditioning for world's strictest dad. Except I'm not his kid, and he acts like that makes it worse. One thing Oliver said stuck, though. Don't give him ammo. So I kept quiet. Did my work, cleaned up my stuff, stayed out of his way. Didn't matter because the next morning everything kicked up a notch. Couple days after that talk with Oliver, things at home shifted fast. Mom started talking about the baby all the time. The baby will need more space. The baby will have a better future. At first, I didn't mind. It's a big deal, sure, but then she started comparing me to a baby who wasn't even born yet. Maybe the baby will be more organized than you, Connie, she said one morning when I left a plate in the sink because I was late for class. She laughed like it was a joke, but she never used to talk like that. Another time, I came back from work tired, sat on the couch for 5 minutes. She said, "When the baby comes, things will have to be different. The baby won't be lazy." Lazy? She used to defend me when Stepdad said that. Now she threw it out there herself. I didn't argue, just nodded. Went to my room, but I knew where it was coming from. Stepdad had been feeding her stories. I overheard him one night when he didn't know I was in the hall. "He stays out late," Stepdad said. "You know that's true. She doesn't help around here unless you tell her twice. The baby's going to need a real father figure, not some moody college kid sulking around." Mom was quiet, so he kept going. "I saw the way she looked when you told her about the baby," he said. "She's jealous. She doesn't like that there's going to be someone else in this house. I wouldn't be surprised if she tried to cause problems after it's born." That one hit hard. Jealous? Cause problems? I barely talk as it is. Next morning, Mom told me, "You need to be careful about your attitude around the baby. Your stepdad thinks you might be jealous." I almost laughed. Jealous of a baby? Seriously? She gave me this look like she wasn't sure what to believe. That bothered me more than anything. The guy had been here 3 years. I've been here my whole life, but she was starting to listen to him like he knew me better than she did. Later that night, Stepdad cornered me in the kitchen while Mom was upstairs. "You need to get serious about your life, Connie," he said, arms crossed, like always. "This isn't your little clubhouse anymore. When the baby comes, we don't need drama. We don't need some angry kid making things harder." I kept my voice level. "I go to school. I work. What drama?" He said, 2 days ago you disappeared all night." "I was at Oliver's. You can ask him." "Sure," he said, like he didn't believe me. "Look, you've had it easy here. Time to grow up. Maybe find your own place." There it was. First time he said it straight out. I didn't answer, just stared at him until he walked off. Later I went back to Oliver's. Needed to vent. He was in the garage working on his beat-up car, music playing. "The king giving speeches again?" he asked, wiping his hands. "They're getting worse," I said. Told him about the jealousy thing, the comments about the baby, how Mom was starting to repeat them. Oliver leaned against the car, grinning. "So let me get this straight. He moves into your house." "It's Mom's house," I said automatically. "Sure," he said, waving that off. "He moves in, knocks up your mom, starts running his mouth about you being jealous of an unborn baby, and now he wants you gone." "Pretty much." Oliver laughed. "Man, this guy's writing his own villain story. He better hope there's no plot twist coming." I didn't laugh back. "I think they're serious. I might actually need your couch." He nodded, like he expected that. "It's there, no questions asked. But if he tries to throw you out in 2 days or whatever, that's not even legal." "Yeah, but I can't afford rent somewhere else either way," I said. "Then don't panic yet," Oliver said. "Wait to see what cards they're playing. People like him. They overplay their hand. Always." He was right about one thing. Stepdad was pushing hard. 2 nights later, Mom sat with me in the living room. She looked uncomfortable, like she didn't want to say what she was about to say. "Your stepdad thinks it's time you get your own place," she said finally. "You're 19 now. We need space for the baby." "He told you that, or you think that?" I asked. She paused just long enough for me to know the answer. "It's for the best, Connie. The baby will need its own room." "The baby's not even here yet." She sighed. "Don't make this harder. We'll help you find somewhere cheap. It's time." From the hallway, Stepdad called out, 2 days should be enough, right?" 2 days. Like he owned the place. Oliver was right. They were overplaying it. I texted him on the way to my room. Might need that couch after all. And the next morning felt off before it even started. Stepdad was already in the living room when I came downstairs, acting like he was the sheriff around here. 2 days, Connie, he said before I even grabbed breakfast. "We start remodeling this weekend. We need the space for the baby." I looked at him. "And where exactly am I supposed to go in 2 days?" He shrugged. "You're 19. Figure it out. Call friends. Get a roommate. Whatever. Independence is good for you." Mom was at the table, silent, eyes on her coffee. She didn't even look up when I said, "This your idea too?" She flinched, but didn't answer. "That's what I thought," I said. I went to work like normal, but my head wasn't on the job. bagged groceries, smiled at customers, but the whole time that clock in my head was ticking down. 2 days? 2 days or what? He tossed my stuff on the lawn, changed the locks. After work, I stopped by Oliver's again. He was in the driveway washing his car with music blasting. "You look like someone told you the world's ending," he said. 2 days, I said. He's serious. Oliver shut off the hose. "Okay, let's break this down. 1, he doesn't own the house, right?" "It's Mom's," I said automatically. "You sure about that?" I hesitated. "Well, yeah, I guess so. Dad never talked about it much before he passed. Mom stayed here, so I just figured it was hers." Oliver raised an eyebrow. What?" "Nothing," he said, grinning like he was already writing insults for Stepdad in his head. "So, what's the plan? My couch is open, but if he tries anything illegal, we hit back." "Like what?" "Like finding out exactly what rights you have before you pack a single box." It made sense, but I didn't even know where to start. When I got home, Stepdad was in full contractor mode, talking about knocking down my wall like it was already approved. "Crib here," he said, pointing. "Changing table there. Closet's big enough if we tear out that door." I stood in the doorway. "Pretty sure this is my room you're redesigning." His mouth twitched. For now. Something in me snapped then. Not yelling, not throwing stuff, just done being pushed around. I texted my aunt that night, Dad's sister. We don't talk a ton, but she's solid, always straight with me. I told her about the 2-day deadline, how Mom was siding with Stepdad, how they were planning to tear the place up like I didn't live here. She didn't text back right away. Then a message popped up. "Call me. Don't text." So I called. She listened while I explained everything. No interruptions, no big reactions, just quiet until I finished. Then she said, "Connie, do you have a key to the attic?" That threw me. "Yeah, why?" "There should be a file box up there," she said. "Old paperwork, stuff your dad left. Find it before anyone starts knocking down walls." "What's in it?" I asked. "You'll see," she said. "Don't mention it to your mom yet. Just look." That was it. No big speech, no hints, just told me to find the box. So later, when everyone was asleep, I grabbed a flashlight and went up there. The attic smelled like dust and wood. Took me 10 minutes to find the box buried under some blankets. Inside, manila folders, envelopes, old photos, a letter from Dad's lawyer with my name on it. The envelope said, "Transfer of title, guardian until 18," in my dad's lawyer's handwriting. I didn't open it yet, just stared at the stack like it was about to change something. Next morning, Stepdad was back at it talking to some contractor on the phone about demo day. I texted my aunt, "Found the box. Now what?" She replied, "I'm coming over tomorrow. Don't agree to anything until then." I didn't tell Mom. Didn't tell Oliver yet either. Just went to work. Kept my head down. Tried to act normal while Stepdad strutted around calling the place his house. At dinner, Mom kept scooping mashed potatoes onto a plate she said would be for the baby someday, lining things up like the kid was about to crawl in any second. She smiled at the empty high chair catalog sitting on the counter, then at Stepdad like they shared some secret plan. I watched her rearrange the table for the 3rd time, sliding my plate closer to the edge while clearing space in the corner, like she was already making room for a crib there too. Stepdad leaned back in his chair, arms wide, grinning at her like a man who'd already won. He tapped the table twice with his knuckles and nodded toward my side of the room, smirk never moving. Mom set down her fork, pushed aside the mail that had been stacked near my elbow, and started folding napkins, stacking them neatly where my stuff had been, like she was erasing me 1 inch at a time. I didn't say anything, just set my fork down, leaned back slow, and kept my eyes on them. Stepdad set his jaw, eyes daring me to argue until I looked right at him and smiled once, small, sharp, and went back to eating without a word. He stopped tapping the table after that. After dinner, I went to Oliver's and told him about the box, how my aunt wanted to come over. "Think it's bad news?" he asked. "No idea," I said, but she sounded serious. Oliver smirked. "Man, if it's a will or something and that house is yours, I'm going to need front row seats when you tell Mr. Alpha who thinks he's the leader." I shook my head. It's probably nothing, but part of me wasn't so sure anymore. Next day, my aunt texted, "Be there at noon. Don't let them start anything until I arrive." So I didn't. And when noon came, she showed up with a folder under her arm, eyes sharp, like she already knew this was about to get messy. The next day, Aunt Lisa showed up right on time, noon sharp, black coat, folder under her arm, the look of someone who already smelled smoke before seeing the fire. I met her at the door. She didn't hug, didn't smile much, just nodded once and walked straight in like she owned the place more than Stepdad ever did. Mom was in the kitchen rearranging baby stuff she bought too early. Bottles still in their packaging, tiny socks lined up on the counter. Stepdad leaned against the fridge like a bouncer, arms crossed, a fixed little grin in place. Aunt Lisa didn't stop in the kitchen. She just glanced at them, then at me, then said, "Let's see the box." I led her upstairs to my room, pulled the file box from under the bed where I stashed it last night, dust still on the lid. She set her folder down, opened the box, started flipping through like she was sorting cards in a game, only she knew the rules too. Envelopes, old letters, stacks of papers with dates from years back. She moved fast, sharp eyes, scanning titles before stacking some to the side, leaving others in the box. "You read any of this yet?" she asked without looking up. "Not really," I said. Didn't want to jump to conclusions. Aunt Lisa tapped a stamped letter. "Your dads will put the deed in your name, with your mom listed as guardian until you turned 18. It became yours outright last year. Let them talk for now," she said finally. "Don't mention this." "Why?" "Because they want you rattled," she said. "We're not doing that today." She closed the box, slid it back under the bed, dust and all, like nothing had changed. Downstairs, Stepdad was pacing near the window, checking his phone like he was waiting for the contractor again. Mom hovered near him, rinsing out a mug that was already clean, just to keep her hands busy. Neither of them looked at us when we came back down. Aunt Lisa stood by the table, folder under her arm again, eyes calm but sharp. She didn't say much. Just watched Stepdad measure the wall with his metal tape like the room already belonged to him. He clicked the tape back into its case, loud like punctuation. "Contractor's coming tomorrow," he said to Mom, ignoring me. "We'll start here first." He waved a hand like it was nothing. "Permits? No problem," he said. All confidence, as if paperwork was just a formality when you were king of the castle. Aunt Lisa didn't react, just rested one hand on the chair back, watching him move like he was on stage. Mom kept talking about paint colors, crib sizes, curtains. Every few sentences, she'd glance at me like she expected me to argue. I didn't, just leaned against the wall, quiet. Stepdad glanced at me once like he thought silence meant he'd won. Aunt Lisa's eyes followed him every time he moved. Measured, waiting. When he finally left the room to take a call, she turned to me. "You working tonight?" "Yeah, evening shift." "Good," she said. "Let him run his mouth. Don't say a word about the papers. I'll be here when the contractor shows up." She left after that, calm as when she came in. Quick pause, fellas. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the drama. The house felt tighter once she was gone. Stepdad came back from his call talking louder than before, like volume proved anything. Told Mom about tearing out closet, building shelves, moving my bed to the garage until I found somewhere. Mom nodded too much, voice sharp when she told me to clear space before tomorrow, like the baby needed my half of the house more than I did. I didn't argue, just went to work, stocked shelves, bagged groceries, listened to my manager talk about weekend shifts, while my phone buzzed with texts from Oliver asking for updates. Told him Aunt Lisa went through the box. Didn't tell him what was in it because I still didn't know. Just said she was coming back when the contractor came. Oliver texted back, "Man, I'm bringing popcorn for this." When I got home late, Stepdad had already cleared the hallway near my room like it was a construction site. Boxes stacked against the wall. My boxes, things he didn't even ask before moving. He was in the living room after, scrolling on his phone, acting casual, like stacking my stuff by the door was no big deal. Mom was quieter than usual, folding baby clothes she bought too early, lining them up on the couch cushion like a display. Neither of them said much to me. I didn't say much back. Just put my bag down, looked at the empty space where my things used to be, then at Stepdad's smug face under the lamplight. Went to my room, shut the door, texted Aunt Lisa. "Contractor coming tomorrow. He's moving my stuff already." She replied, "Quick, be there before he arrives. Don't do anything." The contractor's truck pulled up mid-morning. White van, ladder on top, logo on the side. He parked at the curb, stepped out with a clipboard and tool belt, looking ready to knock down walls. Inside, Stepdad was waiting like a king welcoming his soldiers, planted in the middle of the living room as if he owned it. Mom kept busy with baby stuff, bottles, catalogs, little socks. Like staying in motion meant everything was under control. I stayed in my room, door open, phone in hand, text from Aunt Lisa. 2 minutes out, don't start anything. Contractor knocked. Stepdad opened the door like it was his big moment. Right on time, he said, loud enough for the whole block to hear. Come on in. We're starting with this wall here. He pointed toward my room before the guy even stepped inside. The guy nodded, but said he'd go over the paperwork once the owner signed off. I came out just as Aunt Lisa walked up the front steps. Dark coat again, folder under her arm. Same calm face, like she was here to settle accounts, not argue. Stepdad frowned. What's this about? She didn't answer, just nodded at the contractor, then at me, then set her folder down on the dining table. The contractor glanced between all of us, sensing the tension. Stepdad ignored it, started talking fast about removing doors, tearing out closets, moving walls, gesturing like a game show host, voice too loud, all confidence. Mom tried to add in curtain colors, crib placement, paint samples she saved on her phone. Neither of them noticed Aunt Lisa opening her folder on the table. She waited until Stepdad finally paused to breathe. Then she spread out papers across the wood. Deed copies, tax receipts, letters with my dad's name, my name, dates in black ink. Stepdad frowned at the papers like they were in another language. The contractor leaned closer. Who's the owner here? Just so I know who to talk to before we start. Aunt Lisa laid the letter on top. It's hers, she said. Will probated, title transferred to Connie. Her mom was guardian until she turned 18. Now it's solely hers. Silence. Mom blinked. Stepdad looked at her, then at me, then back at the paper like it just insulted him. The contractor cleared his throat. So, you're the owner? I nodded once, calm. Yeah, apparently. So Stepdad stepped closer, face red. That's not right. This is our house. Aunt Lisa slid one page toward him without looking up. Deed says otherwise. Been in the family since before you showed up. Connie's name's on it. Not yours, not hers. The contractor straightened up, closed his clipboard. I'm going to need the owner's approval before any work starts, he said carefully. You have it, I told him. Work's not happening today. Stepdad whipped toward me. You can't just... Actually, Aunt Lisa cut in, voice calm but sharp. She can. It's her call. Stepdad looked like someone pulled the floor out from under him, mouth open, no words coming. The contractor shifted uncomfortably. So, I should hold off? Yeah, I said. Nothing's changing until I decide what happens next. Stepdad slammed his tape measure on the counter. This is ridiculous. Your father left the house to... Connie, Aunt Lisa finished, cutting him off, because he knew exactly what kind of circus would show up otherwise. That landed like a hammer. Mom sank into the chair, staring at the papers like they were about to bite her. There was a flicker on her face. Not just shock, but something else, like a weight shifted off her shoulders for half a second before she hit it. Stepdad stood frozen for a second, then gripped the back of a chair hard enough to make it squeak, muttering about lawyers and fairness. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, calm as ever. 2 days, huh? I said quietly. He froze. Oliver would have loved that moment. Stepdad turned, jabbing a finger toward the table. You think this changes anything? You think you can tell me what to do in my own... He stopped himself. Couldn't even finish the sentence now. Aunt Lisa stacked the papers neatly, sliding them back into her folder. Contractor's leaving. You can take this up with a lawyer if you want, but I promise you'll lose. Contractor was already backing toward the door, clearly wanting no part of this. Just call me if the owner decides to go ahead, he said quickly, before slipping outside. Mom finally spoke, voice shaky. Connie, why didn't you tell me about this? I didn't know until 2 days ago, I said. Found the papers where Dad left them. She didn't answer, just sat there, hands in her lap, staring at the floor. Stepdad slammed a cabinet door, pacing faster now. Couldn't look at me. Couldn't look at Aunt Lisa. I stayed where I was, calm, steady, letting him burn himself out. He stopped, finally pointed at me like he needed the last word. This isn't over. Correct, Aunt Lisa said before I could answer, because now there are rules, and they start today. Stepdad stared at her, then at Mom, then back at me, like he was trying to find some ground to stand on. There wasn't any. He grabbed his keys, muttered something about needing air, and slammed the door on his way out. The house went quiet except for the papers rustling as Aunt Lisa put them back in her folder, calm as ever. Stepdad came back 2 hours later, like he owned the block. Door slammed, keys hit the table, sunglasses still on inside. His voice filled the house before he even crossed the living room. "All right," he barked, pacing, arms spread like he was giving a speech. "We're done playing games. Contractor's on standby. Baby needs a room. Connie needs to pack her things. 2 days was generous." I leaned against the wall. "Generous? You tried to evict the girl who actually owns the place." He shot me a glare. "On paper, maybe, but this is our home. We make the decisions here." I raised an eyebrow. "Do we? Because last I checked, only one name's on the deed. Hint, it's not yours." His jaw clenched, but he acted like he still held the upper hand. "You think owning some old house makes you an adult? You're just a spoiled kid playing landlord." Mom sat at the table, silent, eyes moving between us. She hadn't said much since the papers came out. Not defending me, not defending him either, just tight shoulders and a frown, like something was finally cracking inside. He pointed at her like he was collecting backup. "Tell her she's out of line." She didn't answer, just looked down at her coffee. That bothered him. He slammed his hand on the table. "Tell her." Mom jumped but stayed quiet. I spoke instead. "No one's out of line, but since you brought it up, let's settle this right now." I pushed off the wall, kept my voice calm. "Here are the options. 1, you leave the house. 2, Mom and the baby stay if she wants, but only without you. 3, if she wants to stay with you, you both leave. Those are the terms." Stepdad froze, then laughed like I told the funniest joke on earth. "You're out of your damn mind," he said, voice climbing. "You don't tell me where I can live. I'm the man of this house." "Man of the house," I repeated slowly like I was testing the words. "Yeah, not really working out for you." That set him off. He stalked around the room, restless hands tightening on the back of a chair as he yelled about how I was ungrateful. Mom kept watching, hands tight around her mug, breathing heavier now. "You think you can embarrass me in my own home?" he shouted, pointing right in my face. "I've been building a family here while you sulk in your room like a little girl." I stayed calm. "Yeah, nothing says family like kicking your wife's kid out with 2 days' notice. Don't twist this." His voice cracked on the word twist. Mom flinched, but still didn't speak. He turned on her next. "And you're just going to sit there? Let her talk to me like this? After everything I've done for you?" Something in her eyes shifted then. Not big, not sudden, just colder. "You mean after the way you've controlled everything I do?" she said quietly. He froze mid-pace. She stood up slowly. "After you talked over me in my own house. After you poisoned me against my daughter. So I'd think she was lazy, jealous, dangerous even. You fed me lies about her every day until I couldn't tell what was true anymore." His mouth opened, but nothing came out. She kept going, voice shaking, but louder now. "You moved in and treated me like a prisoner, like I was just here to nod along while you barked orders. I let you turn me against my own kid because I didn't want to believe I married a man this cruel." "Cruel?" he yelled, voice cracking again. "You call providing for you cruel? You call wanting respect cruel? I'm the only real man in this house." I smirked. Lot of real men screaming about respect in houses they don't own. He spun on me, red-faced, veins showing on his neck. "You shut your mouth." Mom stepped between us before he got closer. "No," she snapped at him. "You shut yours. Pack your things and get out." He blinked like she slapped him. "What?" "You heard me," she said, steady now. "This is over. The control, the lies, all of it. You want to act like a king? Go find another castle." He looked between us, wild-eyed, breathing fast. "You'll regret this," he stammered. "Both of you. You can't just throw me out like I'm nothing." "You did that to yourself," Mom said. His voice went high, panicked now, throwing out insults about me, about my dad, about her being ungrateful. It was loud, ugly, desperate. She didn't back down this time. "Pack your things," I added. "And since Mom's revoking your permission to stay, you don't have any right to be here." He stood there shaking, trying to come up with something big to say, something that would make him the alpha again. Nothing came. So he grabbed a duffel bag, stuffed clothes in hard and sloppy, muttering under his breath about lawyers and respect and real men. I leaned against the doorway. "Careful," I said. "Wouldn't want to pull a muscle packing all that ego." He shot me a look that could kill, then stormed out with his bags, slammed the door so hard the frame rattled, and sped off like a teenager after curfew. Mom sat back down slowly like her legs barely worked and let out a breath that sounded 3 years late. A few nights later, the house felt different, quiet in a way it hadn't been since he moved in. Mom stayed at the table a long time that night, staring at the empty spot where he used to stand, giving orders. She didn't say much, just kept folding and refolding the same dish towel like she was trying to figure out what came next. I didn't get emotional, didn't tell her it was okay or any of that. You know he turned you against me, right? I said finally. She looked up, surprised. All those things you said, I continued. Lazy, jealous, dangerous even. You believed him without ever asking me, made me feel like I didn't even belong in my own house. She didn't argue, didn't deny it, just nodded slowly, like the words landed heavier than she expected. I didn't want to see it, she said after a moment, but I do now. I didn't say anything. I wanted to believe he was helping, she said one night, but he was just controlling everything, even me. For once, she didn't defend herself. She just sighed and said, I'm sorry for all the things I believed about you. I nodded once and left it at that. No long speeches, no hugging it out, just facts. The next few days were about cleaning up the wreckage he left behind. His stuff was gone except for a few random things in the garage. Mom boxed them up and told me to leave them by the door. I went back to classes, caught up on assignments, picked up some extra shifts at work. The house stayed calm. Then about a week later, Stepdad showed up. I was at a table outside campus, laptop open, finishing an essay. Oliver sat across from me, sunglasses on, arms behind his head like he owned the place. Stepdad's car rolled up to the curb fast like he was arriving for a showdown. He climbed out. Same puffed up chest, same fake walk. I didn't move, just closed my laptop and waited. He marched over, pointing at me before he even stopped walking. You think you won? He said, loud enough for people nearby to stare. You embarrassed me. You turned your mother against me. You think this is over? Oliver smirked. Here comes the halftime speech. Stepdad ignored him, eyes locked on me. You're nothing without me. You live in that house because of me. I held up a hand. Stop. That house was mine before you ever showed up. He blinked, like he still couldn't process that part. Oliver leaned forward, grinning. Crazy, right? All that alpha talk in a house you didn't even own. Stepdad spun toward him. Who the hell are you? Guy who offered Connie a couch when you tried to evict her from her own property, Oliver said casually. Didn't need it, though. Plot twist and all. Stepdad's face turned red fast. This isn't funny. Little funny, Oliver said. Like reality show funny. I stood up then, slow, calm. Look, you don't live there anymore. You don't control anything. You can pick up the rest of your junk from the garage and that's it. He stepped closer, trying to tower over me. You think you can talk to me like this? I was the man of that house. Yeah, I said. And now you're the man yelling in a parking lot while people film on their phones. He looked around. Sure enough, 2 students had their cameras out. Oliver grinned wider. Smile for the audience, big guy. Stepdad's voice cracked when he yelled next. Your mother will take me back. She needs me. I shook my head. She told me she felt like a prisoner with you there. She's not going back. That landed hard. His mouth opened, closed, opened again, like he couldn't find words big enough to fill the hole his ego just fell into. Oliver sipped his soda loudly. Tough crowd today, he said. Stepdad turned in a circle like he might yell at everyone watching, then locked back on me. You think you're better than me? Some college kid with a part-time job? I shrugged. Better tenant, apparently. Oliver snorted. Stepdad's face went through about 3 shades of red before he finally pointed at me like this was a courtroom. You'll regret this, both of you. I'll be back. I shook my head. No, you won't. Not unless you want the cops involved next time. That froze him for a second. He looked around again, saw the cameras still on him, then turned back toward his car. He muttered something about respect under his breath, slammed the door, and peeled off like he was running from a crime scene. Oliver watched the car disappear. Guys 1 speech away from making motivational TikToks. I laughed under my breath, tension easing for the first time in weeks. He's not coming back, I said, more to myself than to Oliver. Not unless he wants to be internet famous for the wrong reasons. Oliver grinned, nodding toward the students, still pretending not to film. When I got home later, the house felt different, quiet, not the tight, suffocating silence that came when he was brooding in the kitchen. This was clean silence, the kind that let you breathe. Mom was at the table, a cup of tea cooling in front of her. She looked up at me. eyes tired, but softer than they'd been in months. "He came to see you, didn't he?" she asked. "Yeah, at school. Tried to do his whole speech thing." Her lips pressed into a line. "He used to do that to me too. Yell until I gave in." I sat down across from her. She looked smaller somehow, shoulders not weighed down with pretending anymore. "He's gone," I said. "For good this time." She nodded, but there was no triumph in it, just relief. "I should have protected you from him. Instead, I let him turn me against you." The words hung heavy between us. For years, she was my anchor, and for months it felt like she'd let go. "I can't change what happened," she whispered, "but I can say I'm sorry for all of it." I didn't rush to fill the silence. Didn't tell her it was fine, because it hadn't been. But I nodded once, letting her know I heard her. That was enough for now. The next few days were about repair. Not just fixing the mess he left, though there was plenty of that, but patching the cracks between us. She cleared out the baby things she'd bought too soon, folded up the tiny socks, and packed the unopened bottles back into bags for returns. The nursery corner she'd been carving out of my space disappeared, replaced with the dining table we always used to share. She asked me to sit with her more. Little things. Morning coffee, folding laundry, cooking dinner together. Like she was relearning how to be mom without someone whispering in her ear. At school, I finally felt my shoulders drop. No more counting days, no more looking over my back wondering if I'd find my stuff on the lawn. Oliver noticed, too. "You don't look like a hostage anymore," he said one afternoon as we walked out of class. "Thanks, I guess." He grinned. "Nah, seriously. You look lighter, like you finally got the house back." "Because I do," I said. He gave me a playful shove. "Don't let King Alpha sneak back in with a sob story. Guys like that love crawling back." I rolled my eyes. If he tries, the cops get the call before he makes it past the driveway. Oliver smirked. "Atta girl." Weeks turned into a month. The house stayed calm. Mom started laughing again. Real laughs, not the brittle ones she used when Stepdad was around. We'd watch old movies together, and sometimes I'd catch her looking at me with this mix of guilt and gratitude. She didn't always say it, but I could feel it. She was trying to earn back what we'd lost. One evening, she brought out a photo album I hadn't seen in years. Pictures of Dad holding me as a baby, family cookouts, birthdays. She traced one photo with her finger, me in pigtails on Dad's shoulders. "He'd be proud of you," she said softly, "for standing up, for not letting anyone push you out of what's yours." For a moment, the ache of missing him hit sharp, but it wasn't heavy. It felt like strength. Stepdad never did come back. Word got around. Neighbors saw the contractor leave, papers spread on the table, Aunt Lisa standing guard. He wasn't the king of anything anymore. As for me, I stayed. Finished out the semester, stacked up more hours at work, started saving for my own future, not because I was being pushed out, but because I wanted to. My home was mine again, but so was my choice of when to leave it. And if there was one thing I'd learned, it was this. Blood may give you a house, but backbone makes it a home. Mom and I settled into a rhythm that felt almost foreign at first. For so long, everything had been about him, his rules, his moods, his voice filling every room. Without him, the house creaked differently. The quiet carried new weight, not heavy, but steady. We cooked dinners together. Sometimes she'd hum while stirring a pot, and I'd realize I hadn't heard that sound in years. Other times, she'd sit across from me at the table, fiddling with her spoon, eyes glossy, like she was fighting off regret. "I can't believe I let it go that far," she admitted one night, breaking the silence. "Your dad trusted me to take care of you, and instead I let someone else convince me you were the problem." Her words hit hard, not because I hadn't thought the same thing, but because hearing her own guilt was heavier than my anger ever had been. "You believed him because you wanted to believe in him," I said, "but he didn't deserve it." She reached across the table, hand trembling a little. I let her hold mine. No speeches, no promises, just the weight of her hand and the quiet understanding that things were shifting back. Aunt Lisa stopped by a few more times, checking in, making sure the legal side was airtight. She left me copies of everything. Deeds, tax records, even the letter from Dad's lawyer. "Keep them safe," she said. "Paper doesn't lie, even when people do." Oliver, of course, wouldn't let the whole saga die quietly. He retold it to anyone who'd listen, embellishing like some stand-up comic. "Connie hit him with the Uno reverse card, man. Guy thought he was the landlord. Turns out he was the tenant." He lived for the reactions, the laughter, the gasps. But when it was just us, he toned it down. "You good?" he asked one night while we walked back from the corner store. "Better than I thought I'd be," I admitted. He nodded. "Yeah, figured. You don't look like you're carrying bricks on your back anymore." I smiled. "That obvious?" "Pain in the ass obvious," he teased, bumping my shoulder. Slowly, the house became home again. Mom and I redecorated. Not for a baby, not for him, but for us. Fresh paint in the living room. Old photos of Dad hung back on the walls. The space started telling our story again instead of his. One afternoon, as we unpacked boxes from the attic, Mom held up a faded sweatshirt of Dad's. "Do you want this?" she asked softly. I nodded, pressing it to my chest. It smelled faintly of cedar and dust, but in it was the memory of safety, of family before everything got tangled. That night, I wore it to bed and slept deeper than I had in months. The future didn't feel so claustrophobic anymore. I started looking at classes for next semester, even browsing apartments online, not because I was being forced, but because independence on my own terms sounded different, better. And Mom, she started therapy. She told me one morning, voice steady, "I need to understand why I let him take so much power, so I don't make the same mistake again." For the first time in a long while, I believed her. Weeks turned into months. The seasons shifted, and though echoes of his presence still lingered, the dent in the wall from where he slammed a chair, the grooves in the floor where he dragged my boxes, each day wore them down. Each laugh, each meal, each quiet evening with Mom chipped away at what he tried to build. He hadn't just lost the house. He lost the version of us that let him rule. And I knew one thing for certain. No one was ever going to take that from us again.